I never thought guilt could feel this heavy. Not the guilt that comes after a clear mistake, but the quiet guilt that settles in slowly, without asking permission, and starts living inside you. If you've ever felt like that, like you always owed something, even when you didn't know what stay here, this channel is for people who carried guilt that was never theirs. And if at any point you recognize yourself in this story, don't ignore it. Sometimes hearing the right thing at the right moment changes more than we expect. At first, nothing seemed serious. There were no arguments, no raised voices, just small comments, almost invisible. After everything I've done for you, I thought you'd understand. I didn't expect that from you. Words spoken calmly, with disappointment, with that tone that doesn't accuse directly, but leaves a shadow behind. And without realizing it, I started carrying it. I didn't want to be unfair. I didn't want to be selfish. I didn't want to be the problem. So I lowered my head. I apologized, even when I didn't fully understand what I had done wrong. At first, I told myself it was maturity, empathy, the ability to see the other side. But over time, something inside me began to shift. I stopped waiting for others to blame me. I did it myself. If something went wrong, I thought it must be my fault. If something hurt, I thought I'm probably being too sensitive. If I wanted to say no, there was a tight pressure in my chest that pushed me to give in. That pressure no longer came from outside. It lived inside me. I started apologizing for needing space, for being tired, for not having the energy. And the most dangerous part was this. I began to believe that if I felt bad, it meant I was failing. Not that something was unfair, not that a boundary had been crossed, but that I simply wasn't handling things well enough. Little by little, guilt took over everything. I stayed quiet to avoid discomfort. I agreed to avoid disappointment. I smiled to avoid conflict. And every time I did that, something inside me became smaller. But I kept going, because saying it all felt more dangerous than continuing to carry it all. Until exhaustion arrived, not physical exhaustion. Something deeper, the exhaustion of overthinking, of doubting myself, of rehearsing every word before speaking. One day, I looked at myself and thought something that scared me. When did I start apologizing for being who I am? That's when I understood an uncomfortable truth. No one forced me to believe them. I did it because I was afraid. Afraid of losing them. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of not being enough. I believed the guilt because it felt more tolerable than accepting that someone was hurting me. Accepting that truth hurt more, because it meant admitting that not everything was a misunderstanding. Not everything was poor communication. Some people prefer you to feel guilty rather than take responsibility themselves. And I had played that game for far too long. It wasn't a sudden revelation. It was wear and tear. One day, I was simply tired of apologizing for everything, of explaining myself constantly, of justifying my existence. I started asking myself one simple question. Is this really my guilt? Or did I just get used to carrying it? And when I started questioning it, something shifted. Not instantly, not without fear. But I stopped reacting so fast, stopped saying sorry automatically, stopped taking responsibility for other people's emotions. Some didn't like it. It showed there were uncomfortable silences, distance, coldness, and yes, it hurt. But it hurt less than continuing to disappear to keep a false peace alive. That's when I understood something essential. Guilt that destroys you is not teaching you anything. It's only controlling you. Today I know something I didn't before. Feeling guilty doesn't always mean you're wrong. Sometimes it just means you were trained to put yourself last. And believing them comes at a very high cost. If this story touched something inside you, subscribe to the channel. Here we talk about what many people feel but rarely say out loud. And if someone once made you feel guilty until you doubted yourself, leave a word in the comments. Not to explain, just to remind yourself that you're not alone. Because believing them hurts. But starting to believe yourself sets you free. Sometimes freedom begins when you stop believing the guilt that was never yours.